Creative.
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 The Rocky Mountains form a significant part of Canada's most western province, British Columbia. Natural beauty is not the only aspect of life that is important here. Join a Native American designer and the Provincial Film Commissioner, as well as people who use Vancouver's public transportation system and local business people to see how they approach their everyday lives in a creative way. People of the First Nations are proud of their heritage. One of them explains the creative means she uses to impart her culture to the rest of Canada and the world.
My name is Dorothy Grant. I am from the Raven clan of the Haida Nation. The Haida Nation is a group of people, First Nations people from the northern part of British Columbia, a small group of islands that we have inhabited for thousands and thousands of years. I am an artist, I am a fashion designer, and I am a businesswoman. I started my business in 1994, but I began designing in 1986. I have taken my ancestral roots, the Haida art, and created a whole new medium in Northwest Coast art. That is creating a style. I always like to say style in terms of creating something new, because it's based on something that's very, very traditional. But what I've done is made it contemporary and invited people to participate in it by wearing it. So it has a whole new concept in the way that people appreciate art, particularly my art, Haida art. Haida art is made up of form, line, design, very structured kind of a form that the artist adheres to a certain set of rules. And I've been a student of those rules since I was in my early 20s, and have learned to have a deep respect for it, because it comes from thousands and thousands of years of our history, and it hasn't changed in terms of its rules, but the forms have changed, the mediums have changed. And what I'm contributing to the art is a new medium, and that new medium, of course, is style, or clothing. We've been in this boutique for 5 years, and that's a real milestone of itself to have survived in the retail market. I see myself, of course, being stronger as a retail store, possibly having a few more stores. Possibly, well, not possibly, I know for sure we will be exporting into other countries. But it was very important for me to get a strong foothold in the market that I live in, which is Vancouver, and to create that strong presence in Canada. It was very important for me. And I have done that. My work is known throughout Canada and many parts of the United States. And I think the whole process of creating that image of quality, of a very clean design of something that, you know, when you buy fashion, you might buy it for just a season. It might last you 2 seasons, but I think the image that I have created over these 5 years is that there's benefit, there's giving back from these clothes, there's a feeling of a real feel-good attitude about it when you wear it. There's an identity to it. It's a real positive thing. It's a real positive image for Native people, not just my own nation of Haida people, but for all nations, First Nations across Canada. They have taken a real pride in it, that somebody has been so forefront and so strong with their art and culture. And I think it represents a real positive identity. The Haida Nation is a group of people, First Nations people from the northern part of British
These are the
Columbia.
people who are normally referred to as Indians.
The artist adheres to a certain set of rules.
Adhere means to stick to do something in the right way.
It was very important for me to get a strong foothold in the market that I live in.
This comes from the idea of climbing. Many locations in British Columbia are ideal for the creative work of film and television companies. Listen to the director of the Film Commission explain why this business has become so vital here.
My name is Peter Mitchell. I'm the director of the British Columbia Film Commission, and we're here in fabulous Vancouver, British Columbia.
What can you tell us about filming here in Vancouver?
Well, the film and television industry in British Columbia is now the third largest film and television production center in North America. Last year, in 1998, we did $808 million worth of production, and that is a figure that has grown at a rate of more than 20% per year over the last 20 years. In fact, last year we grew 28%. We're only second to New York and Los Angeles now in terms of our relative size in North America. The overall economic impact of the film and television industry in BC is over $2 billion, and it employs more than 25,000 people. If you looked back perhaps 10 or 15 years when we went to Los Angeles and said, please come and shoot your films here in British Columbia, their reaction was, British Columbia, how are things in England today? And then it moved to British Columbia, oh, South America. And finally we've got to the point where people know that British Columbia is in fact in Canada and fairly close to Los Angeles. So in our marketing efforts, we go to trade shows, festivals, we attend markets, and we have a fairly strong tradition of visiting our markets, personally going to Los Angeles, London, Tokyo to try and drum up business. So if you're a producer with the 5 elements that are needed to create a film, which are the script, the producer, the director, the star, and the money, and you come prancing down the steps of Paramount with this great $50 million project, which is the size of the average US feature film these days, you will send that script to a number of film commissions. So perhaps British Columbia, Ontario, Washington State, Norway, and Egypt. And we, along with the other, in competition with the other film commissions, will take that script and break it down for locations. We will then go to our film library of still photos, actually, and we will try and match the locations in the script to locations in British Columbia. So if they need a cabin on a lake in the woods with a mountain in the background, we have a selection of those kinds of locales, plus a gritty urban alley where somebody might be involved in a car chase or a gun shoot or a shootout. So we will put together a package of different alternatives. We'll send that back to the producer, typically in Los Angeles, and they compare those different bids, if you will, all of which are associated with a price tag. And fortunately for us right now, British Columbia is very, very cheap in terms of our international pricing, so we get quite a bit of the work coming here. If a producer and director like what they see from British Columbia, they will come on a plane, we'll meet them at the airport, take them to all those same locations, they'll take all the same photographs again, and again, if they like what we can offer in comparison with Washington or any other locale, they will end up shooting here. Personally going to Los Angeles, London, Tokyo to try and drum up business.
This is a phrase that tells people how to start something new, in this case business.
And how is Mr. Stallone finding Vancouver?
I think he quite enjoys it. He goes home on weekends, mind you. Flies home every weekend. But he's been a treat to work with.
Yeah.
Always on time, and all the bad things that people talk about haven't come true on our show.
Good, good. It seems to be a common theme with people shooting in Vancouver. And how many crew would you have here?
On the shooting crew, we've probably got about 125. Some of the days are big effects days when we have lots of snowstorm and stuff that we're creating inside. On those days, we have probably 25 people in just the effects department.
Yeah.
I think he quite enjoys it. He goes home on weekends, mind you.
Mind you is a term that means as you know to give additional information.
But he's been a treat to work with.
A treat means something that is delicious or tastes very good. In this case, it's someone who's easy to work with.
The reasons that people come to British Columbia to shoot, particularly from Los Angeles, are numerous, but the key one is the exchange rate. People come here because their exchange rate is favorable and they can get a better value for their money here in Canada than they can elsewhere. They stay because of the experience, and the experience is that we're only 2.5 hours away by plane from Los Angeles. We're in the same time zone. We have very good crews. We have the infrastructure. We have stages that have been built to accommodate all the production. And the overall experience that people have here tends to bring them back again and again.
Large cities are faced with the problem of how to transport many people most effectively. Find out how Vancouver is dealing with this challenge with creative technology.
My name is John Timms. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for TransLink. TransLink is the operator of the SkyTrain system. And we're standing in the central control room, the communications center for the SkyTrain line. The SkyTrain line itself is a 29-kilometer, fully automated rapid transit line. It currently carries about 140,000 passengers per day, and we've been in operation since January of 1986. The SkyTrain system's history goes back about 25 years ago, when the regional planners of the Greater Vancouver area were looking for creative ways that they could reduce the number of cars that come from the suburban areas into the downtown core. At that time, we had all of the employment, all of the cultural activities, the theaters, the restaurants, everything was in downtown Vancouver. Downtown Vancouver was surrounded by 1,800 square kilometers of what we call bedroom communities. This is where people live. People live in the suburbs, they commute to Vancouver to work. About 25 years ago, we first noticed that we were having problems with the quality of our air. We were noticing an increase in air pollution. Vancouver is not an industrial city. Close to 80% of that pollution came from private automobiles. So the regional planners came together to look at ways they could reduce the number of cars coming into the city. They came up with a plan that was termed the Livable Region Plan, a way to protect our environment, to allow people to continue to move freely through the region, but without following the American example of building freeways. The SkyTrain system delivers more than 98% of its service on time within 2 minutes. And this is important. The SkyTrain system also, because of its design, has very low maintenance. In the maintenance shops, you can see that there are very few trains. Typically only one train, perhaps 2 trains, will be in the shop for servicing. We do most of the servicing during the day, at the time in the middle of the day when there is less passengers. The SkyTrain system's low maintenance is due in part to the fact that SkyTrain is like a model kit. The motors, which have no moving parts at all, are linear induction motors. They are suspended below the train, and really they are just coils of wire, no moving parts. Those motors can be taken in and out in a single shift. We have about 300 cameras on our system. Those cameras are used to monitor the stations, to watch the stations to see if perhaps there is a passenger in a wheelchair that might need assistance. On the platforms, we also have a number of alarm systems. In the emergency cabinets, and every station has at least 2 emergency cabinets, we have emergency telephones. Above the telephone, there is a red button. This button will allow passengers to stop the automatic movement of trains. They can close the station. If someone or something falls down into the track, all of the red areas, all of the plates on the tracks, if they are disturbed, this will also stop the automatic movement of trains. The yellow lines above the windows, or above the seats along the middle of the window, is a silent alarm. If passengers reach up and touch this yellow strip, this sends a silent electronic message to the control room. This is an indication that there is a problem on board the train. When the train stops at the next station and the door opens, an attendant will walk into the train, look both ways, and ask if there is a problem or if there is an emergency. So passengers have a number of ways that they can ask for help, both on the train and in the stations. 1,800 square kilometers of what we call bedroom communities.
These are places where people sleep but go other places to work.
The next station is Nanaimo.
I like the SkyTrain. It's quick, gets me where I want to go.
I think it's a wonderful system. Excellent rapid transit.
I think it's one of the greatest, fastest transportation systems in Vancouver.
The SkyTrain is great. It gets you there quick. I go downtown every day to work and it's really fast. 15 minutes, I get there quick. It's great.
Developing creative strategies for dealing with issues in a city is necessary for both officials and the business community. 2 gentlemen who work with the Board of Trade in Vancouver show how this is done.
My name is David Park, and I'm the Chief Economist and Assistant Managing Director for the Vancouver Board of Trade. And this is Glenn Young.
Hi.
And you are?
I run my own business, and we do mostly international trade with the Southeast Asia and East Asia, particularly with China and Japan. I chair the Community Affairs Committee in Vancouver at the Vancouver Board of Trade, and we generally look at civic issues such as transportation and healthcare or what are some of the stuff?
Transportation, urban transportation in particular.
Yeah, planning issues, crime, you know, the property crimes and so, some of the problems we have in the city. And we provide information to the Board of Trade so that they could make the advocacy positioning for the government and tell them, you know, this is what we need to do. So a lot of the committee work that we do here supports what the Board of Trade does. And in terms of function, the Board of Trade is really the voice of the business community, and the committee that I chair is one of the smaller voices that makes up the collective voice.
And Glenn is an independent business person, whereas I'm a staff member of the Board of Trade. So we do what they want.
We're the paying members.
But Glenn, we have some things on our agenda here for your meeting coming up that are probably worth talking about. And one of the things that I can speak to a little bit is the urban transportation. As you will recall from the Public Transportation Forum, which we had a week or two ago, SkyTrain, our rapid transit system that is Canadian developed and installed here, driverless system, appears to be the most effective in getting drivers out of their cars and into rapid transit.
Okay, but I'm just a little concerned about at the position that we actually take in terms of the general public when we do make a comment about this, whether we say that this is the system we should have, or do we just say in general principle this is the transportation we need?
The policy document we have says we need to have rapid transit, and it needs to be in the best routing and the best type that will support our urban growth plans, which have been approved by the region as a whole. But I think in terms of the specifics, there's a lot of controversy over the cost of SkyTrain versus its effectiveness. And that is a matter that I think the provincial government has decided on, and has decided that it will be SkyTrain extension to the existing system or a comparable system, and that's going to go ahead. And as a matter of fact, construction is just about to start.
When will we have a report or a letter out to the public or to the Transportation Authority?
Well, if your committee, of the Community Affairs Committee, approves that policy statement on Thursday morning, then we can move forward to take it to the executive of the Board of Trade for approval. I don't know whether we need to go to the full Board of Directors or not, but we need to take it to the executive. So sometime in the next few weeks or a month, we should be able to go through the process of having it approved at higher levels and then issuing it as a statement.
So will we have a full report for this meeting, or?
Yes, there will be a full report. The chairman of the Urban Transportation Task Force, who is a member of the Community Affairs Committee, will report to your committee on the results of that policy statement.
Were we looking for a motion to pass it on at this meeting, or do we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we generally look at civic issues.
Civic issues are matters which involve the general public.
I'm a staff member of the Board of Trade.
A staff member is someone who works specifically for a company or a group.
We have some things on our agenda here for your meeting coming up.
Agenda, notice the pronunciation, is a plan for a meeting.
The chairman of the Urban Transportation Task Force, who is a member of the Community Affairs Committee.
A task force is a group who meets to work on a special project.
Were we looking for a motion to pass it on at this meeting, or do we?
Yes.
Okay.
A motion is the word for a formal suggestion made in a meeting. Energy supply is essential for today's world. Discover how a very creative company in British Columbia is helping everyone with this.
My name is Firoz Rasool, and I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of Ballard Power Systems. Ballard is located in Vancouver on the west coast of Canada, and we are a company that is involved in the development of fuel cell technology. Now, a fuel cell is an environmentally clean power generation device. It is a way of making electricity without pollution and making electricity in a way that is highly efficient and can be used in many, many different applications. The fuel cell originally came from the space program. It was used by NASA in the Gemini space program, which was before Apollo, and did not have any commercial applications until the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years, the fuel cell has been demonstrated in many different areas, not just for cars, buses, and trucks, but also in power generation devices for homes, for buildings, for ships, for trains, but also in what we call small, portable power generation devices that can be used in a boat or in a recreational vehicle, or for remote power, like a small generator that can be used in a picnic or camping and so on. So a fuel cell has as many applications as your imagination will allow you to think about. And we are now getting ready to develop prototypes with our automotive partners and customers. And we have customers that include not just Daimler, Chrysler, and Ford, but also General Motors, Nissan, Honda, Volkswagen, Volvo, who are beginning to evaluate fuel cells as the next generation technology for powering vehicles. And in this regard, we have now started to look at different fuels, such as hydrogen, such as methanol, such as gasoline, for transportation applications, but also natural gas that's used for applications in the home, but also for portable applications, we're looking at propane and butane. So this technology is very versatile. It can be used in many different places, in many different ways. And that's what makes it so exciting. In a recreational vehicle.
A recreational vehicle, often called a camper, is a large car or van for camping.
We believe that in the next millennium, in the year after the year 2000, that fuel cells will be the technology of the next 100 years, because it is a revolutionary technology which will replace not only the internal combustion engine, but other conventional power technologies, and we will see it all over the world in as many different applications, as I said, as your imagination will allow you to think about. And the only thing that will be limiting is how creative we can be in thinking about the applications for the fuel cell.